This story took place Friday, October 2nd, 2020 at 2:15 p.m. in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. I was there for a Carlisle auction. "It's gonna be worth something someday," echoed the Big Daddy communal call from every storage unit from the Delaware River to the Monongahela. Fantastic bellies pushed out farther with self-hypnotized assurance. Yes, their 1969 Pontiac Firebirds will never stop appreciating. Yes, they will sell it for $900,000. And their sons will come home with good haircuts, and they'll all fly to the moon with Jay Leno. Okay, Big Daddy, if you're so confident that your 1969 Firebird is so valuable that it's your retirement nest egg, then put it in the fall Carlisle auction. I said this in an imaginary exchange. So Big Daddies went, "Wah, wah, wah, wah," and then regurgitated an entire rotisserie chicken. I'm just waiting for the right buyer. 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 You can't go by auction prices. They don't represent the real world. I'm just waiting for the right buyer. I excused myself from this fantasy exchange and walked back to reality. No, Big Daddy, you can trust the auctions. When this story took place in the terrible 20, where network news became lobbyist spin, and Facebook was a bunch of KGB puppets, and even the Weather Channel was sensationalized, live car auctions were one of the purest truths to find. In the Carlisle Expo Center, auctions lasted for less than 2 minutes. The auctioneer fired faster than a 21-year-old bump stock enthusiast recording himself with his phone. I took a seat next to a white polo-shirted dad as the first car went up. It was a 1966 Pontiac Catalina with a 389 V8. The bidding stalled at $7,500. The auctioneer trumpeted, "It's going to be sold, it's 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 going to be sold!" The auctioneer then paused for one dramatic second. "Sold! $7,500. That's about $20,000 less than what Facebook Marketplace keyboard soldiers think their classics are worth." Stage hands pushed the car off the stage, and up rolled a 1962 Chevy C10 pickup truck. I sat up, and I thought, this is going to be good. C10s are very fashionable now. This'll hit $20,000. The bid stalled at $7,000. No way, I thought. The auctioneer lowered his ask from $8,000 to $7,500, and no one bid. He asked for $7,200, and one person answered that bid. The auctioneer asked again for $7,500, and the audience was still and quiet. "It's going to be sold, it's going to be sold, it's going to be sold, it's going to be sold!" The auctioneer gave his by now closing catchphrase, "Sold!" I sat back in my chair and smiled like Dirk Dastardly behind my mask. Yes, these are the real prices of classic cars. I found them. Back home, my mailbox was filled with glossy flyers promising fair weather and topless Christian girls and home ownership. They promised all these things would come my way if only I voted for the candidate. Back home, God-fearing townsfolk parroted slogans secretly written by queer folk like me to suspend logic and empty bank accounts. Back home, dads took vertical photos of their C10 trucks with index fingers held up in order to obscure license plates. They listed their trucks for $20,000. Firm, no lowballers, I know what I have. But on October 2nd, 2020, in Carlisle, Pennsylvania, a 1972 C10 truck in good condition was worth exactly $7,200. This was truth. I felt excited. There was nothing to spin. I felt a rush of free market energy. Next up was a 1972 Volkswagen Super Beetle, which was stored for 20 years. It sold in 1 minute for $9,200. I left the auction floor to roam the parking lot outside where cars were displayed for you to inspect before bidding. The cars were later pulled onto the auction floor, but for now you could go outside and have a look. I saw baseball caps pulled over poker face eyes. I saw 21-year-olds with clean hooded sweatshirts, and they strolled with rehearsed I don't give a fuck strides. I saw a 1953 Oldsmobile. The owner wedged a sign under the car's raised hood. On the sign was written a fairy tale story from the perspective of the car. It was a very big sign with small lettering. It told a story about how much the car loved its family. It said that I, the car, attended my driver's wedding on December 31st, 1954. I took Ken and Haida to Miami, Florida on their honeymoon. I transported 3 children, blah, 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 and we all went to heaven, and God was a Republican, and gay people went to hell, and there was nothing weird about eating a hot dog. Around this 1953 Oldsmobile, the owner arranged all the plastic trophies the car won. It wouldn't help, because I started to notice the style of the person not winning cars that day. The losers of this auction were hunched-over men wearing tactical baseball caps, tactical cell phone holders, and tactical knives. Their wives wore sparkling tops and press-on nails. The husbands frowned at outdoor video monitors displaying real-time prices along with a video feed of what was going on inside on the auction floor. 1988 Ford Mustang LX. Sold for $5,000. That car's worth more than that. That's not accurate, said a man draped in a XXL shirt displaying a red, white, and blue cartoon fist. Well, why aren't you bidding on it then? I dreamed asking him. But the last thing I wanted was to get into it with a car enthusiast having his dreams broken. His face spilled into his chest, his lips parted. I go back inside to see a 1979 Firebird go up. It had a bald eagle painted on the hood. The eagle's wing feathers were colored red, white, and blue, with white stars in between. One of a kind. It sold for $14,500. Go to hell. Your pathetic Posemobile is worth less than a used Toyota Camry. Up comes a 1981 Corvette C3, pristine orange. Sold for $10,400. Less than what people are paying for Honda Civic hatches. 1999 Ford Mustang SVT Cobra. 42,000 miles. What did it sell for? $6,200. $250. The people who were doing the bidding and the people who were winning looked different than the people grumbling outside. I saw 3 of these men talking after one of them won an auction. They wore Patagonia jackets over button-down shirts, boat shoes, or Chuck Taylors. Their clothes bore no political slogans or fake sponsorship logos. Their chests and torsos were trim, and their clothes fit. They spoke quietly. Ah, here it is. This is the real money. These were the subtly wealthy. They reminded me of Arliss Howard's performance as Boston Red Sox owner John W. Henry in the film Moneyball. Howard expertly portrayed the ease of character which those with means possess. If $10,000 to them is $100 to us, if $10,000 to them feels like $100 to us, that's fun money. Sure, take a chance. But more importantly, expendable income allows someone to detach emotion from cash. Howard, as Arliss, and I'm paraphrasing Moneyball, said, "One of the great things about money is it buys a lot of things. One of which is the luxury to disregard what the car community likes, doesn't like, what it values, doesn't value." Those winga-dinga dads out there, full of horny dreams of steak fries and silver bullets and SS Impalas, they can sit alone, arms folded, together. Yes, solidarity forever in unheated garages while their one-of-a-kind cars flatten their tires, never moving, never sold until their estate is settled after their death. 1956 Chrysler Imperial comes with a half-century full of boring stories. Gone. $9,100 in 1 minute and 10 seconds. 1967 Pontiac Le Mans, and it actually said this. It was written in that piece of paper for the auctioneer to read. Over $50,000 invested. Well, the bid stalled at $35,000. It's going to be sold, it's going to be sold, it's going to be sold. $36,500. It's going to be sold, it's going to be sold, it's going to be sold. And it's sold for $36,500. What an investment. I thought about the why. Why classic car owners insist on higher prices than the market will tolerate. I thought about how, as long as Uncle Leroy has his 1979 Firebird, Uncle Leroy has a story. That Firebird means more than money. It means he has a photo that he can show you. He can pull it out at a restaurant. He has an artifact proving that he was young once. He has a space in which he can listen to 38 Special and ignore his cardiologist. If Leroy's car has worth, then Leroy has worth. If his 1979 Firebird is yesterday's news, then so is Leroy and his past. So he has to keep holding on to his 79 Firebird and insisting on that higher price, because if the car disappears, then so does Leroy. Now, in June 2021, we're seeing the beginnings of nostalgia, with early 2000 Forester XTs selling for more than those Firebirds. We saw the explosion of 90s Japanese coupes, your Integras, your Preludes, your Supras, and even Celicas now. Old Wingadinga cars just don't have the clout to attract young people. They never existed. They never existed in the current generation's past. Therefore, they don't have value. In the same way that I don't care about pre-war stuff. It all looks the same to me. So to the current generation, all cars from the 60s and 70s perhaps all look the same and are worth little. But that also means that these old cars, maybe their prices are at an all-time low now. Right now in 2021, it is a seller's market for used cars. But curiously, not for classic American iron. We'll see what happens in another year.